You know that feeling, right? Staring at that blinking cursor on a blank page? It can feel like you're standing at the bottom of a huge mountain with no map. But what if there was a blueprint, a clear, step-by-step process that could turn that intimidating blank space into a really powerful piece of writing? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down.
I mean, seriously, who hasn't been here? That cursor just blinks and blinks, almost like it's taunting you. Maybe the deadline is creeping closer. You've got all these great ideas swirling around in your head, but getting them onto the page in a way that actually makes sense, it can feel literally impossible. It's such a universal struggle, but the good news is it's a solvable one.
So here's the secret. Great writing isn't some kind of magic trick that only a few people know. Nope, it's a craft. It's a process. And the blueprint we're looking at today comes from a super practical source, the K-12 writing standards from the Georgia Department of Education. They've laid out a clear journey that's powerful enough to work for pretty much anyone, from a second grader to a CEO. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the overall blueprint. Then we'll dive into planning, drafting what we're going to call the sloppy copy, the real magic of revision, and of course, the final polish. Stick with me, because you're going to see that this is so much more than just a set of rules. It's a whole new way of thinking about writing. All right, so the big idea here is that effective writing is an intentional journey. It's not about sitting around, waiting for that lightning bolt of inspiration to strike. It's about making deliberate choices and moving through these focused stages, where each one has its own specific job. And here's what that journey looks like. Plan, draft, evaluate, revise, and edit. And notice those arrows. This isn't always a straight shot from 1 to 5. You might draft something, evaluate it, and then realize you need to hop back to the planning stage for a bit. But just having these 5 steps as your mental model makes any writing project feel so much more manageable, doesn't it? So let's kick things off with what is, I would argue, the most critical step of all, the plan. The best writers will tell you that the real work happens before they ever write a single sentence. This is where you build your entire foundation. I love this way of thinking about it. It's like a coach's playbook. You would never start a big game without a strategy, right? Well, in writing, your strategy comes down to knowing your why, your purpose, and your who, your audience. Are you trying to persuade somebody, inform them, just entertain them? Who are you actually talking to? Answering these 2 questions first changes absolutely everything. So what does planning actually look like in practice? Well, it's all this stuff. Defining your goal, figuring out your audience, brainstorming, organizing those thoughts, and gathering your info. Skipping any of these is like trying to build a house without a blueprint.
Yeah, it's probably not going to end well.
Now for the stage that trips up so many people, that first draft. I want you to completely reframe how you think about this. Forget the term first draft. From now on, let's call it the sloppy copy. Because the goal here isn't to be brilliant. The goal is just to get something, anything at all, down on the page. And this is my favorite part. The educational standards themselves actually use the term sloppy copy. How great is that? It's like they're officially giving you permission for your first version to be imperfect. It's supposed to be messy. A great way to lean into this is to set a timer for 15 minutes and just write without letting yourself hit the backspace key. The goal is just flow. So if you take one thing away from this section, let it be this. Your only job in the drafting stage is to make progress, to get those ideas out of your head and onto the page. Don't worry about the perfect word or flawless grammar, just write. Because you literally can't revise a blank page. Okay, so you have your sloppy copy. You survived. Now, the real transformation begins. This is the revision stage. And let's be super clear, this is not about fixing typos. This is the glow up. This is where your writing goes from just okay to something truly powerful. And this is so important because people mix these 2 up all the time. Revising and editing are not the same thing. Think of it this way. Revision is major construction. You're moving walls, asking big questions like, are my ideas clear? Is the structure logical? Could my words be stronger? Editing, that's the final coat of paint. It's fixing grammar, spelling, and punctuation. So rule of thumb, revise first, then you edit. So how do you actually revise effectively? Well, one of the best ways is to get feedback. And the Georgia Standards have this fantastic little technique called 3 stars and 1 wish. It's simple, it's constructive, and honestly, it's incredibly effective for writers of any age. Here's how it works. It's super simple. Your partner gives you 3 stars, 3 things that are working really well. Then they give you one wish, a constructive suggestion or question. So, for example, a star might be, I love how you described the bird's feathers. And a wish could be, I wish I knew how the students felt when they saw the bird. See? It's focused, it's positive, and it's incredibly actionable. To see just how powerful this approach is, let's look at a real example from the source material. This shows a teacher guiding young students as they revise a class story about a bird that, believe it or not, flew right into their classroom. Now listen to what she says. She doesn't say, let's fix your mistakes. No way. She gives them a creative mission. Find a place to add dialogue. That's pure revision. It's all about making the story more engaging and alive, not just correcting errors. Her second mission is even better. Make the main event more vivid for the audience. This is the very heart of revision. It's about adding those details that really strengthen the writing's impact. It's how a simple story becomes something you remember. All right, once you've done all the heavy lifting of revision, once the major construction is done, it's finally time for the final polish. This is the editing stage. This is where you get out your magnifying glass and zoom in on the details to make sure your writing is clear, correct, and professional. Think of this as your final quality control checklist. You're hunting for typos, fixing grammar, correcting punctuation. And why does this matter so much? Because you've worked way too hard on your ideas to let a silly typo or a misplaced comma distract your reader from your message. So, we've gone all the way from planning to polishing. But why does following a process like this matter so much? Because, and this is the important part, it's about something much bigger than just getting a good grade or sending a perfect email. This quote from the standards really gets to the core of it all. This process isn't just a formula, it's a tool for empowerment. When you master these steps, you build real confidence. You start to see yourself as a writer, as someone who has a voice and knows exactly how to share it effectively. So the next time you face that blank page, don't see a barrier. See the starting line of a clear, manageable journey. And I'll leave you with this question to think about. How will this process change the way you tackle your next writing challenge?